white blade. The podcast that's got it all. Listen up, we're here to evolve from gadgets to translate.
Welcome to the second edition of the AI Blade podcast. My name's David Willis-Owen, and today we will be looking at how AI threatens critical infrastructure. The Department of Homeland Security released a document on April 26, 2024. This document was 28 pages, and I want to save you guys the time reading through it. Spoiler alert, it's pretty dry, it's pretty boring, it's pretty long. In this document, they outlined AI security guidelines for critical infrastructure owners and operators. This is definitely a step in the right direction, as opposed to having no publications. However, it seems very disconnected from the real risks we are seeing today. So, to begin with, let's actually summarize the white paper. Why was it created? So, on October 30th, 2023, the US President Joe Biden signed an executive order, and this mandated the Secretary of Homeland Security to assess the risks of AI in critical infrastructure. And they were given 180 days to do this and produce a document which could be given to critical infrastructure owners. To do this, they used the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. This is version 1 of the document. It's fairly new, but it provides some kind of risk management framework to be applied to AI risk. So, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, decided to consider 3 categories of system-level risk to do with AI when they looked at the critical infrastructure. Number 1 is attacks using AI. So this is leveraging AI to facilitate harm. For example, prompt injection, AI-enabled social engineering, some of the other techniques which I've been discussing on this blog and podcast. Section 2 is attacks actually targeting the AI system. Targeted attacks on the system supporting critical infrastructure, such as manipulating AI algorithms. And number 3 is failures in AI design and implementation, where a poorly designed model could cause critical infrastructure to fail. Next, they decided to create a set of guidelines for the owners using this risk management framework we discussed. So, step 1 is govern. Establish an organizational culture of AI risk management. Step 2 is to map, which is understanding the individual AI use context and the risk profile. Number 3 is measure, developing systems to assess, analyze, and track AI risks. And finally, number 4 is manage, to prioritize and act upon AI risks to safety and security. Okay, are you still awake? Because I'm falling asleep reading this stuff out. It's pretty dry, as I said. It's pretty dry, and it wasn't enjoyable reading through the document, but I realized I could gain a number of insights. And based on this summary, hopefully you can gain some of the same insights. Now let's discuss it. So, I do not think this is a good work. I hate to say it, but I do not think this is a good work. The piece lacks specific action steps. It mentions generic action steps, but it lacks the specifics applied to AI in critical infrastructure. Let me give you an example. One of these so-called action steps is apply mitigations prior to deployment of an AI vendor's systems to manage identified safety and security risks and to address existing vulnerabilities where possible. What does that even mean? Apply mitigations. What mitigations can we apply? As of writing, every major large language model is still vulnerable to prompt injection, where taking in a prompt, its context can be manipulated to do things outside of the guardrails of the AI model and abuse it for malicious intent, which it was not designed to do. So, we cannot adhere to this yet because the mitigations simply are not in place. The white paper uses several big words, sophisticated risk phrases to look smart, but the advice seems very disconnected from the actual issues we are seeing today. We have things such as training data poisoning and model inversion, and these were identified by OWASP in their top 10 machine learning attack techniques. It seems like there's a real lack of awareness around the actual attack vectors which exist out there to negatively impact infrastructure and AI models. So we've had our rant on how bad this is, and in all honesty, it's good to see documentation coming out which people can follow. This is better than nothing, right? This is better than nothing. But it could be drastically improved, and I hope it is. Here are my guidelines for improving it. So, first of all, make the document more concise. 28 pages is long. 10 pages is long enough, in my opinion. I found myself losing interest, and this is a really good test. People don't like to talk about this. People assume that the documents they create will be read. At the end of the day, we live in an age where people's attention spans are shorter than ever. They are shorter than ever, and documents should be as concise as possible, getting across the key points. Furthermore, there are too many similar points which do not provide value. Next, we need to make the document more targeted. It should consider features specific to critical infrastructure, such as their reliance on legacy systems. These critical pieces of infrastructure often have unpatched legacy systems which are very out of date, and this should be taken into account when making the document. Finally, consult a greater number of technical leaders in the AI space. I believe the white paper was made by experienced government risk officials. This is all well and good for established industries where we've seen the risks for 20 plus years, but ChatGPT was released 18 months ago, and this was what drove all of this hype, this rapid investment, this rapid integration. And in a rapidly changing space like AI security, we need to be talking to the people developing these exploits, the technical experts who understand the large language models, who understand where the actual attack vectors lie. Okay, so how can we really guard our critical infrastructure if this document does not provide the solution? So I'm going to go out there and say it. It is too soon to integrate AI into critical infrastructure. It is reckless to do so. We have seen over the last 18 months the number of problems and security issues with large language models. And these are just machines that take in text input and write out text output. These critical systems may be controlling the national grid, they may be supporting people's health, a lot of real world serious impacts. And the uncomfortable reality is that policymakers, instead of just implementing guidelines, they need to implement regulations which people must adhere to that severely restrict AI in high-risk industries. I am an AI advocate, and it pains me to say this, but the technology is not ready in my opinion. And these regulations need to be co-authored by technical experts in the AI security field to ensure they address actual attacks. So, final thoughts. In summary, I think this document really showcases society's lack of preparedness for AI attacks. Over the next 5 years, unfortunately, I think we will see nation states leveraging weaknesses where AI has been poorly implemented into critical infrastructure. And this will lead to devastating impact. When this happens, perhaps the Department of Homeland Security will finally take AI security more seriously. Okay, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Give me any feedback if you have it. That would be really appreciated. And I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to the next podcast. Until then, I am signing out.